Now, it seems to be the season for the opening of concept stores as Nando's and BMW Motorrad both open their doors to the public in Johannesburg and in Cape Town, respectively. Now, imagine walking into a Nando's and there is no menu board. We take a look at how the brand is trying to spice up its customer experience.
Nando's has for a long time known that we want to give you more than just good chicken. We want to give you an amazing experience. And what that means is trialing a few different things in a few different spaces. And this is the restaurant that we had chosen to trial those things. So there are a few things, and we've made it quite subtle. You walk in and you're going to meet a host. We've redesigned the to-go area, which is our traditional takeaway area. We've made huge changes to our menu. We've introduced some new and interesting menu items. We've introduced some new drinks to our menu. And we've introduced a new level of service. If anything's going to take the brand to the next level, it's going to be the service. So we're looking at a good 3 to 6 month process of really understanding what the impact is and understanding what the feedback from the consumers are. Experience is the new currency. We've come to realize that a while ago. We can't change everything at the same time.
BMW Motorrad, on the other end of the spectrum, is not a brand that is only about motorbikes. To strengthen its foothold as a lifestyle brand, it recently launched a new retail concept store, which it claims will be a blueprint for stores right around the world.
In the past 10, 15 years, we started climbing up volume. We also offered our bikes to more customers. But looking at that time, it was a bit traditional. It was very traditional. It was, from today's point of view, perhaps a little bit old-fashioned. So we had the image of attracting, let's say, more older people that want to have a nice ride on the Saturday afternoon. That has changed with our Double R 5, 6, 7 years ago. We're more in the sporty segment. We win all the competitions in the Double R segment. And now we want to continue to widen the whole range, to be attractive for all kinds of customers internationally, young guys, older guys, women, men, that they understand their bike as a portion of their freedom, as a portion of their life. Therefore we say, make life a ride.
We spend lots of time to evaluate the market, to evaluate the status quo of the brand. And I have to say that actually today is the first important step we've done with opening Danford Motorrad in Cape Town to rejuvenate the brand. As you can see here, we have lots of new elements, the lifestyle element, which comes to more and more importance for us. A motorcycle customer wants to be treated in a different way from the brand, towards the brand. This is where experiential marketing comes into place. When he comes to the dealer, he expects not a hard-selling sales talk. He expects to be listened to. He wants to seek to a platform where he can exchange stories. It's all about content and meeting authentic people and share a dream riding motorcycles. I think the socializing component is a very, very important lifestyle element for South Africans. Here at that dealership, at Danford Motorrad, with a coffee bar in the back, with a customizing area, that's part of lifestyle, where people meet. If they buy a t-shirt, if they buy a motorcycle, the first plate doesn't matter. They come here, they feel home, and they want to share experiences, and they want to socialize.
Now you can see the new BMW Motorrad ad on our Facebook page. Here's the address. Now, Levi Strauss, one of the first multinational companies to re-enter the South African market following democratic elections in 1994, has been celebrating 20 years of doing business in the country. Chip Berg is the global chief executive and sat down with me to talk about the difficulties of marketing a brand in a competitive and price-conscious market. I want you to give me a handle on how this brand has been able to maintain this iconic status over so many decades.
Well, one of the great things about this brand is it seems to find itself in the middle of culture at just the right time, all the time. And you think back to those momentous occasions, and Levi's was there. If you were wearing clothes in Woodstock, you were wearing Levi's. I think what we try to do is connect with young consumers in an authentic, real kind of way. And by doing that, we find ourselves in the middle of these momentous occasions.
Try to articulate for me, if you can, the DNA of this brand, though. You talk about authentic connection with young people, but goodness gracious, it's a lot more than that. It's about history, it's about heritage.
It is, this brand goes all the way back. It's 141 years old, goes all the way back to the gold mining days outside of California. Levi Strauss, the man himself, was a merchant, and miners were coming in with torn pants all the time, and he and his partner Jacob Davis came up with the patented riveted jeans, and that is really what started it. So our roots are the gold rush and true Americana. We were very much a working man's brand in the early days, and when you were a laborer, if you were building the Empire State Building, you were wearing Levi's.
Times are tough in your sector right now. We know of 500 jobs that are going to be sent offshore from the United States. Is the brand, as a result of that, becoming less American, or do you have to guard against that?
The brand's roots are truly American, and we are Americana. That's what makes this brand so aspirational. You used to be able to travel through Russia with a suitcase full of Levi's and barter your way through because that aspirational Americana image. But at the same time, this brand is truly global. Okay, we sell Levi's in over 110 countries around the world. The decision to offshore some of the transactional jobs was really driven by the need to be cost competitive. We're not plowing new territory here. We're one of the last in the industry to have done this.
Within that competitive environment, does a brand like Levi's have to market itself and behave differently in different markets? And perhaps you could reference the way in which the brand associates and attaches itself to South Africa.
The competitive set differs in different markets, and we need to be competitive and relevant in each local market. So we do tailor how we market in every major market around the world. In China, for example, we're a very aspirational brand, and our products sell for $100 and up. In South Africa, we are an aspirational brand, and we tend to play more in the premium part of the category. But in other parts of the world, in the United States, our home market, we're a very democratic brand, and our price points range from $35 US all the way up to $350 US.
Talk to me a little bit about how far you will go in leveraging the brand. In other words, eventing, activation, ancillary products around the brand itself. That surely has become more and more important.
Well, we're sitting in a showroom here where we've got, tops and T-shirts and, so obvious extensions in the apparel industry close into the core Levi's brand.
But that's a no-brainer.
That's a no-brainer, right? And so, check, we've done that. We're in the footwear business, check, that's also pretty much a no-brainer. All the way out at the other extreme, we just recently announced Levi's Stadium outside of San Francisco.
This is the San Francisco 49ers.
The San Francisco 49ers. We did that naming rights deal as a way to activate the brand and connect the brand back to this whole point about connecting the brand back with consumers.
Let's talk about that. How do you link the naming of a football stadium to the brand itself? What are you going to do?
Well, first of all, we announced the deal.
You'd like all the players to be in blue jeans, but that's not going to happen.
Well, a lot of them are rocking blue jeans, and a lot of them are rocking Levi's off the field. But we did this deal about 18 months ago now or so, and the concept is basically we've got our name over the door, branding everywhere inside the stadium, and then we activate at every single game. So we activate with consumers, we activate with customers, we're bringing them to the stadium. It is a big signal that the brand is back. How many apparel brands can put their name over the door of a stadium?
Talk to me a little bit about this new advertising campaign of yours.
The advertising campaign is called Live in Levi's, and it's based on a real fundamental consumer insight. And it's one of the things that really makes this brand very different than, I would say, almost any other brand. I'm a brand guy. I worked at Procter & Gamble for 28 years. I mean, I've been doing branding my whole life. And I'll tell you the story where this insight actually developed. I was in India about 2 years ago, and we were doing an in-home survey with a woman, in-home consumer qualitative research, kind of a one-on-one. and talking to her about her jeans. And this was an upper-class woman, air-conditioned house. She had gone to school in the UK, 28 years old. And we spent an hour talking about jeans, and towards the end of the survey or the questionnaire, I asked her if we could see her jeans. So we went into her bedroom. She pulled 10 pairs of jeans out of her closet. She had all the usual suspects, a lot of premium, designer jeans. And I asked her to go through each one, tell me what you do in these jeans. What's this jean for? And the last two were Levi's. So we got down to the second to last pair, and she said, these are my go-to jeans. If I'm going out with my girlfriends and we're going out to get a cup of coffee or we're going to go to the mall and go shopping, these are the jeans that I wear. And I said, okay, what about these?
Yeah.
And I get choked up still telling this story, but
yeah.
With kind of tears in her eyes, she said, honestly, I don't even fit into these jeans anymore, but these are the jeans that I wore when I went to college. And these jeans have so many stories in them that I can't bear to give them away. And right at that moment, I thought to myself, there is not another brand that is like this, where people will keep it in their closet when it doesn't even fit them because of the things that they did in those jeans. And so the insight is you wear other jeans, but you live in Levi's.
And when Mags on Media continues, find out if you're smarter than a marketer and the big winners from this year's Financial Mail Annual Ad Focus Awards.